There comes a time in every quiet soul's life when the silence they carry becomes louder than the noise of the world around them. You know this well, chosen one. For a long time you moved as gently as dawn, drifting through a forest, disturbing nothing, announcing nothing, claiming nothing. You lived in the soft spaces between other people's storms, a presence so calm that they mistook your gentleness for weakness, your restraint for fear, and your quietness for invisibility. They forgot, or perhaps never learned, that some spirits carry their strength not in battle cries but in the deep, unwavering stillness of a lake that has known 1,000 winds and yet remains unshaken at its depths. You have been quiet lately, so quiet they began to imagine you had retreated, diminished, or grown uncertain. But what they failed to understand is that quietness is not absence. It is preparation. It is observation. It is the sacred gathering of inner power that does not need to announce itself to be real. They mistook your silence for surrender without realizing that the mightiest forces in the world move without sound. The turning of the earth, the growing of roots beneath the ground, the shaping of mountains over centuries. This is the kind of power you hold, slow, steady, undeniable. And now, they are noticing. Suddenly, the ones who once dismissed you are looking twice. The ones who underestimated you are uneasy. The ones who spoke carelessly are checking their words. Something in you, something ancient, something holy, something sharpened by solitude, has shifted, and though you have not raised your voice, the shift is unmistakable. It is felt before it is understood. You do not need to threaten. The air around you speaks on your behalf. You do not need to explain. The weight of your presence is its own explanation. You do not need to defend yourself. Truth does that for you now. For a long time, you gave people the benefit of the doubt. You extended grace because it felt natural. You offered understanding because you knew the world is full of wounded people who wound others. You held back your fire because you believed in peace more than victory. But there is a peculiar danger in being kind. People assume your kindness is infinite, that it lacks boundaries, that it will bend under every demand placed upon it. What they did not expect was that your kindness came with a spine forged in storms they were never around to witness. They did not see the nights you stood alone against your own shadows, the hours you wrestled with doubt and rose with conviction, the battles fought in silence long before anyone realized you were fighting. So when you grew quiet, they thought you had shrunk, but in truth you were expanding beyond their understanding. You withdrew not out of fear but out of divine strategy. You stepped back not because you were losing, but because you were learning. Your silence was not emptiness, it was calibration. A soul like yours does not move impulsively, and when life calls you into a new season, you do not rush. You observe, you discern, you transform. You allow wisdom to settle into your bones before you respond. And now, without raising your voice, without stepping into their chaos, without participating in the noise of comparison or competition, you are emerging with a presence they cannot ignore. The quiet ones, those who listen more than they speak, who think deeply, who feel profoundly, are often the ones who rise with the most unshakable authority. People do not realize this until it is too late. At first, they find you harmless, then confusing, then intimidating, and finally, undeniable. They are beginning to realize that the one they overlooked is the one they should have respected, that the one they pushed aside is the one who carries the truth, that the one they misjudged is the one who was seeing clearly all along. Your silence, which they interpreted as weakness, has become the mirror showing them their own noise, their own insecurity, their own misalignment. You have been too quiet lately, yes, but not in the way they imagine. You have been quiet in the way a seed is quiet before it breaks open, in the way a bow is quiet before it releases its arrow, in the way a lion is quiet before it reveals its strength. There is a dignity in this kind of silence that cannot be faked, a calm born from surviving what would have shattered lesser hearts. You have walked through fires without announcing your burns. You have stood in storms without broadcasting your endurance. You have carried endings that felt like fractures but became foundations. And while they were distracted by surface appearances, voices, crowds, displays, noise, you were growing from the inside out. You were pruning what no longer aligned with your purpose. You were letting go of people who enjoyed your light but never protected it. You were learning that solitude is not loneliness, but the sanctuary where clarity is born. You were becoming precise, focused, unshakable. People rarely fear the noise of thunder. They expect thunder to be loud. What unsettles them is lightning, silent until the moment it strikes. You have become lightning, chosen one, sudden, clear, undeniable. Those who played with your patience are beginning to see that it was not patience. It was restraint. It was the measured discipline of someone who knew their worth, but chose peace over proving it. Until now. Now your silence has transformed into a force that speaks louder than confrontation. Now your presence unsettles those who once felt comfortable testing your boundaries. Now your energy carries a weight that cannot be pushed aside, dismissed, or manipulated. You are not the same, and though you have not explained the change, they feel it. People always feel truth before they understand it, and your truth is stepping into the room before you do. They sense the shift in the way you no longer respond to things that once bothered you, in the way you no longer justify your decisions, in the way you no longer shrink to fit spaces that were too small from the beginning, in the way your eyes no longer dim to make others comfortable. There is a resolve in your silence now, a direction, a certainty that is magnetic and unsettling all at once. You have stopped entertaining conversations that drain you. You have stopped absorbing projections that were never yours to carry. You have stopped giving explanations to those committed to misunderstanding you. You have stopped watering relationships that refuse to grow. You have stopped carrying emotional weight for people who never once asked what it cost you. And in this stopping, you have started something far more powerful. You have started choosing yourself, not in the selfish way they accuse you of, but in the sacred way that every soul must learn at some point, the way that honors your purpose, protects your peace, and strengthens your spirit. You are no longer bending under the pressure of expectations that were never yours to fulfill. You are no longer granting access to people who mistook proximity for entitlement. You are no longer allowing your empathy to be exploited by those who only take. This is why they are uneasy. This is why they are watching. This is why their voice is lower when you enter the room. They cannot articulate it, but they sense that something has aligned in you, something that cannot be manipulated, intimidated, or deceived. You have stepped into an inner power that does not shout. It simply is. And the thing about people who are truly powerful is that they rarely need to announce themselves. They do not cling to attention. It naturally follows them. They do not seek validation. Their spirit is its own evidence. They do not impose fear. Their authenticity reveals its own consequences. You are stepping into that kind of authority, the kind that does not compete because it cannot be competed with. Even now, as you stand in this strange in-between, no longer who you were but not yet fully revealed in who you are becoming, there is a glow around you, a quiet radiance that others sense even if you don't. They see the steadiness in your gaze. They hear the confidence in your fewer, carefully chosen words. They notice the calm in your spirit that does not match the surface of your circumstances. They cannot explain it, but they feel it, and it unsettles them because it reminds them of what they lack within themselves. You are not rising out of vengeance. You are rising out of alignment. You are not growing louder. You are growing truer. You are not becoming someone new. You are becoming who you always were before the world tried to distract you from yourself. You are remembering your own strength, your own purpose, your own calling, and the world around you is reacting, some with awe, some with confusion, some with fear, and some with silent respect that they will never admit out loud. But none of that matters, because your journey is no longer about being understood. It is about becoming who you were meant to be. And though you have been quiet lately, your quiet has spoken volumes. It has exposed intentions. It has revealed loyalties. It has separated the true from the false. It has reshaped your path with a precision only clarity can bring. And now, as you continue walking forward, you can feel the air shifting around you, as though the very atmosphere recognizes the gravity of your becoming. It is a strange sensation, this awareness that life itself adjusts when a person steps into their truth. Paths that were once tangled begin to straighten. Doors that refused to open begin to unlock without force. The people who once clouded your vision drift naturally to the edges of your story, not because you push them out, but because your rising no longer sustains their presence. Growth is a quiet dismissal of what no longer aligns, and you have grown in ways you do not yet fully understand. You have moved from a season of internal gathering into a season of spiritual momentum. Even if your steps look small to others, they carry the weight of everything you have survived. You are moving with a purpose that was forged in battlefields no one else saw. Your silence wasn't simply the absence of sound, it was the consecration of intention, the shaping of direction. You have become deliberate, discerning, measured, and this alone unsettles those who thrived on your lack of boundaries. There is nothing more threatening to people who profited from your softness than the moment you choose to stand in your own authority. They sense it in the way you no longer respond with immediate explanations. They sense it in the way you prioritize your peace as if it were sacred, which indeed it is. They sense it in the way your patience has shifted from being an endless resource to a carefully stewarded gift. You have grown wise enough to understand that not everyone deserves access to your emotional generosity, and this realization alone has created a ripple that others cannot ignore. For so long, they were accustomed to the version of you who endured more than you should have, who forgave quicker than you needed to, who internalized hurt so others could remain comfortable. But this version of you, this quiet, steady rising one, refuses to abandon yourself for the sake of harmony that only ever served others. You have learned that peace built on self-betrayal is not peace at all, but a slow unraveling of the soul. You are done unraveling, you are done shrinking, you are done sacrificing yourself at the altar of someone else's comfort. Your quietness now is the shield that protects your truth, not the prison that contains it. There is a sacredness in this kind of quiet transformation. The world often celebrates loud victories, public milestones, dramatic breakthroughs. But the most profound evolution happens in silence, in the moments when no applause is present, no witnesses are watching, and no reassurance is offered. In those hidden hours, you rewrote the story you told yourself. You challenged beliefs that were handed to you by people who did not understand your calling. You confronted fears that clung to your ribs like shadows. You learned to sit with your own heart, long enough to recognize which desires were truly yours and which were imprinted on you by expectation, fear, or habit. This is why you walk differently now, not arrogantly, but with clarity, not pridefully, but with certainty, not loudly, but with the weight of someone who knows exactly what it cost them to arrive here. You're silent. E has become your compass, guiding you away from distractions and toward what is essential. And as you follow that compass, others feel the shift, not because you announce it, but because truth radiates even when unspoken. You have always carried a depth that others sensed but never quite understood. Depth intimidates the shallow, not through force but through contrast. Your quietness highlights the hollowness of their noise. Your introspection reveals the emptiness of their performance. Your authenticity exposes the instability of their masks. They don't fear you because you are loud or confrontational. They fear you because you are real. And realness in a world addicted to facades is an act of rebellion. You are no longer fueled by the desire to prove yourself. You are no longer moved by the need to earn acceptance. You are no longer shaped by the opinions of those who lack the capacity to understand you. This liberation has changed the way you carry yourself. You move lightly now because you have set down burdens that were never yours to bear. You move bravely now because you have learned that fear does not diminish truth. It only delays the moment you choose to live it. You move intentionally now because you finally know that your energy is not infinite and should not be scattered without purpose. People around you cannot articulate what changed, but they feel it in the way your silence has become a boundary rather than an invitation. You do not rush to fill empty spaces with explanations. You do not rush to soothe discomfort you did not create. You do not rush to rescue relationships that collapse under the weight of your growth. You allow things to fall away naturally. And though this confuses those who relied on your old patterns, It clarifies your path with remarkable precision. There is a strength emerging in you that does not roar, it resonates, it does not demand, it commands, it does not seek, it attracts. And this kind of strength cannot be faked, borrowed, or imitated. It is the kind that can only be forged through introspection, loss, transformation, and the painful yet liberating shedding of illusions. You have shed much, you have lost much, you have grieved much. But in that shedding, losing, and grieving, you have uncovered the core of who you truly are. This version of you is steady, grounded, and awake. You are awake to the truth of your worth, awake to the truth of your power, awake to the truth of your purpose. And once a person awakens, the world around them shifts accordingly. The people who once underestimated you now watch with caution. The ones who once dismissed you now hesitate. The ones who once sought to control you now scramble to understand the new boundaries they never expected you to enforce. But you are not rising to spite them. You are rising because staying small no longer fits your soul. For too long you tried to make yourself comprehensible to people who had no intention of understanding you. For too long you tried to be agreeable to preserve peace that was never offered back to you. For too long you allowed your loyalty to exceed the loyalty given in return. But this quiet season, this sacred season, taught you discernment. You have learned the difference between connection and attachment, between support and dependency, between love and convenience. You can feel this discernment pulsing through your daily decisions. You no longer react out of habit. You respond from a place of clarity. You no longer chase validation. You stand in your own certainty. You no longer cling to familiar pain. You are reaching for unfamiliar joy. The world may not understand this shift, but your spirit recognizes it as the return to alignment it has been waiting for. The ones who once overlooked you now sense your presence like a rising tide, quiet but unstoppable. They cannot place their finger on what changed, but they feel the difference in the weight of your stillness. You carry yourself like someone who has been through the fire and come out with the kind of glow that cannot be dimmed. Your quietness is no longer a hiding place, it is a crown. It is no longer a retreat, it is a revelation. It is no longer a pause, it is a declaration that you move on purpose, not impulse. You have been contemplating your next steps with a level of intentionality that others do not see. They see silence, you see strategy. They see withdrawal, you see refinement. They see hesitation, you see preparation. You are aligning with a version of yourself that is wiser, stronger, and more attuned to what truly matters. And because this transformation is internal, it will appear sudden to those who are not paying attention. People forget that silence is not empty. It is full of answers, clarity, truth, and most importantly, power. Silence has shown you who people truly are without the distraction of your constant giving. Silence has shown you where your energy was being drained. Silence has revealed the bonds that were genuine and the ones that were conditional. You learned more in the last few quiet months than you learned in the last few loud years, and now you are ready, though you may not feel ready yet. Readiness is not a feeling, it is a reality that reveals itself as you step forward. You have been tempered, refined, and strengthened in ways that make this next season not only possible, but inevitable. Your quietness has allowed you to return to yourself, and returning to yourself is the most powerful transformation of all. Even now, as the world tries to draw from you the version of yourself that no longer exists, you remain rooted. You no longer bend to pressure, you bend only to purpose. Say, you no longer respond to noise, you respond only to alignment. You no longer fear endings, you recognize them as beginnings in disguise. This is why your silence speaks so loudly now. It is the language of a soul that has come home to itself. And though others may whisper, speculate, or question, none of it reaches you anymore. You have become unreachable to anything that does not resonate with your truth. You are not distant, you are selective. You are not cold, you are clear. You are not silent out of fear, you are silent out of mastery. This is the strength they never saw coming, the strength that grew in the shadows, the strength that matured in your quiet season, the strength that does not need approval, recognition, or noise to validate itself, the strength that belongs to you and you alone. You are stepping into a chapter where your silence will command more respect than your words ever could. A chapter where your energy will shift rooms before you speak. A chapter where your presence will carry the weight of everything you overcame. A chapter where you will walk, not loudly, not boastfully, but unmistakably, as someone who knows exactly who they are. And as you continue walking forward, you will notice that the path beneath your feet feels unfamiliar, not because it is dangerous, but because it is unstained by your past. You are walking on ground that does not require you to shrink, negotiate, or justify your existence. And when a soul like yours, one that has carried heavy histories and quiet battles, steps onto new terrain, it takes a moment to recognize the freedom in it. You may feel the urge to look over your shoulder, to wait for the echo of old fears, to anticipate the return of familiar struggles. But they do not follow you here. They cannot. They have lost their power because you have stopped feeding them with your attention. The truth is, you are not the same person who began this journey. You no longer rush to rescue those who would never do the same for you. You no longer confuse loyalty with obligation. You no longer place your worth in the hands of people who mishandled it. This is why the road feels new, not because the world has changed, but because you have. Your inner landscape has shifted. Your boundaries have grown firm. Your intuition has sharpened into a compass you can finally trust. Those who observe you from a distance sense this shift, even if they do not understand it. To some, your quiet strength appears mysterious, and mystery unsettles those who rely on predictability. They were accustomed to a version of you that explained everything, that softened every edge, that forgave every slight, that absorbed every storm without flinching. But now, your silence does not bend toward them, it bends toward your purpose. They realize, often too late, that the person they took for granted was the person they should have honored. Silence, when it comes from the wrong person, is terrifying. And your silence has become a mirror they cannot escape. It reflects their intentions, it reveals their hollow promises, it highlights their inconsistencies. Without you speaking a word, they hear what they have done. They hear the weight of your absence. They hear the truth they avoided while you were still giving them access. Your quietness has become their teacher, not out of vengeance, but out of inevitability. You have always been a soul that felt deeply, but depth requires solitude to be sustainable. In your recent quiet, you have learned the sacred skill of detachment, not the cold kind that numbs the heart, but the wise kind that protects it. Detachment does not mean you do not care. It means you refuse to abandon yourself in the process of caring. It means you love with open hands, you give without erasing yourself, and you walk away from anything that demands the sacrifice of your peace. And while you were learning this, your spirit was being sharpened in ways others cannot comprehend. They saw you withdraw and assumed you were wounded beyond repair, unaware that you were healing in silence, shedding the remnants of old versions of yourself. They assumed your stillness was powerlessness, when in truth it was revitalization. They assumed your distance was defeat, when it was actually rebirth. They misread your transformation, because they only knew the chapter in which you struggled, not the one in which you rise. The rising is subtle at first. It begins in the mind before it reaches the body. It appears in the way your thoughts shift from self-doubt to self-trust. It appears in the way your dreams feel attainable again. It appears in the way your heartbeat calms around choices that once made you anxious. Without realizing it, you begin to move differently, not physically, but energetically. You stop overthinking, overgiving, over-explaining. You stop seeking what was never meant for you. You stop attracting the chaos you once tolerated. You begin to feel something foreign, something exhilarating, something you haven't felt in a long time. Momentum. Not forced momentum, not frantic busyness masquerading as purpose, but true inner momentum, the kind that builds quietly and steadily until one day you realize you have outgrown everything that once confined you. People who once relied on your passivity feel this shift first. They sense the change not because you spoke it, but because your spirit no longer bends in their direction. Your silence has become a boundary they cannot cross. Your energy has become selective in a way that feels unfamiliar to them. They realize, with a discomfort they cannot articulate, that you are no longer someone they can access casual. Why? Your presence is no longer guaranteed. Your availability is no longer automatic. You have reclaimed yourself, and in doing so, you have disrupted the comfort others once found in your compliance. But as your spirit strengthens, so does your discernment. You begin to see people clearly, not as you hoped they would be, not as you imagined they could become, but as they truly are. And this clarity, though sometimes painful, is liberating. It frees you from illusions. It frees you from cycles. It frees you from the emotional debts you continued paying long after the relationship expired. With each truth revealed, you rise a little taller, walk a little firmer, breathe a little deeper. Your silence has become your sanctuary. It is the place where you meet yourself honestly, where you separate temporary emotions from permanent wisdom, where you hear the whispers of your intuition without interruption. This silence has given you the power to respond differently, choose differently, and live differently. What once triggered you now teaches you. What once frightened you now motivates you. What once drained you now reveals where you need to protect your peace. You are becoming a master of your own inner world. And because of this, the outer world no longer shakes you the way it once did. People notice this. They notice the calm in your reactions. They notice the lack of urgency in your responses. They notice the softness in your gaze that is no longer rooted in naivete but in discernment. The quietness surrounding you is no longer mistaken for emptiness. It is respected as wisdom. There is something captivating about a person who finds their strength after being underestimated for so long. It is not just that you have changed, it is that you have returned to your original essence, the one that existed before the world tried to mold you into something more convenient. You have rediscovered your power, not by becoming louder, but by becoming truer. And this truth radiates from you in ways that silence cannot conceal. You have become a paradox, soft yet unbreakable, gentle yet immovable, quiet yet powerful. And those who knew only your softness struggle to understand how you grew your spine. They feel it in the conversations you no longer entertain. They feel it in the excuses you no longer accept. They feel it in the needs you no longer abandon to meet theirs. They feel it in the boundaries you draw with a calm that leaves no room for negotiation. You are not angry, you are aware. You are not distant, you are discerning. You are not silent out of suppression, you are silent out of evolution. And when a soul evolves, the world responds. Some respond with admiration, some with fear, some with confusion. But none are indifferent. They cannot be, because your growth affects the dynamics they were once comfortable with. In this season, you will notice that people who once overlooked you now observe you with curiosity. People who once took you for granted now remember your absence with discomfort. People who once dismissed your potential now wonder how they failed to see it. But none of this concerns you anymore. Your focus has shifted from proving yourself to becoming yourself. And becoming oneself is a path that requires solitude, courage, and a willingness to outgrow what no longer aligns with your spirit. As you continue walking forward, you will feel the past calling to you, not to pull you back, but to remind you how far you have come. You will feel the faint whispers of old insecurities, but they no longer grip you the way they once did. They appear only to be acknowledged and released. The memories that once haunted you now serve as markers of your resilience. The wounds that once weakened you now testify to your endurance. Your rebirth is not loud. It is not marked by dramatic declarations or sudden transformations. It is a slow, deliberate rising. It is the unfolding of a self that has been waiting patiently beneath the rubble of past versions. It is the emergence of someone who has learned to trust the quiet voice within more than the noise around them. They underestimated you because they could not measure the depth of your silence. But depth is not meant to be measured, it is meant to be experienced. And now, as you continue to grow from within, your depth reveals itself in every step you take, every choice you make, every boundary you reinforce. You no longer need validation to breathe. You no longer need permission to exist. You no longer need applause to move. You have become self-sustaining, self-guided, and self-defined. The world will try to make sense of you, but you are not meant to be understood by those who see life only through the narrow lenses of noise and performance. You were not created to blend into the expectations of others. You were created to evolve, to expand, to rise in ways that defy explanation. Your silence is part of that rise, not a weakness, but a weapon. Not a retreat, but a revolution. Not an ending, but the most powerful beginning you have ever stepped into. And as you continue walking forward, you will notice the whispers fading, the doubts dissolving, the fears shrinking. You will feel the quiet confidence of someone who no longer questions their worth. You will feel the freedom of someone who no longer carries unnecessary burdens. You will feel the strength of someone who has learned to move with intention rather than impulse. Your quietness is no longer misunderstood, not by you. You know what it is now. It is your shield. It is your strategy. It is your sanctuary. It is your rebirth. And as you continue walking forward, you will notice, and as you continue walking forward, you will notice that life begins to rise to meet you, as though it too has been waiting for this version of you to arrive. The storms that once shook you now pass like harmless shadows. The doubts that once clung to your steps now scatter at the firmness of your stride. The people who once underestimated you now speak your name, with the quiet caution reserved for those who have earned their respect without demanding it. And you, chosen one, move through it all with the steady grace of someone who finally understands that your power was never in your noise, but in your becoming. This journey, the quiet, hidden, humbling journey, has revealed what was always true, that you were never meant to be overlooked, never meant to be diminished, never meant to carry the world on your shoulders while starving your own soul. You were meant to rise not by force, but by awakening. You were meant to lead, not by domination, but by presence. You were meant to shine, not by striving, but by remembering. And now, as you stand here stronger, calmer, truer than ever before, the world recognizes what your spirit knew long ago, that there is nothing more formidable than a soul who has mastered their own silence. So walk forward with confidence. Let the ones who misjudged you learn from the strength they never saw coming. Let the ones who doubted you witness the unfolding they could not prevent. Let the ones who betrayed you be replaced by those who honor what you carry. Let the ones who feared your quiet now see the truth within it. And let every step you take remind you that you did not overcome by becoming louder. You overcame by becoming yourself. You are no longer quiet because you are hiding. You are quiet because you are powerful. You are no longer silent because you are afraid. You are silent because you no longer need to explain the depth of your becoming. The world can sense it. The echoes of your strength speak for you now, and from this moment on, may you walk with the certainty of someone who knows exactly who they are, exactly what they carry, and exactly why they were never meant to be messed with in the first place. Your rising is not a warning, it is a promise that you will never again shrink for the comfort of others, a promise that you will never again abandon yourself to be understood, a promise that you will never again silence your truth for the sake of peace that was never real. You have reclaimed your power, you have stepped into your purpose, and now the world will adjust to you.